my channel NK Academy. I'm here today to teach you past perfect continuous tense. Just to remind you, this is part of the module on tenses in which you had learned simple present, present continuous, present perfect continuous, simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and now you're going to learn past perfect continuous. So be ready to learn past perfect continuous in this video. This tense is also known as past perfect progressive tense. By the end of this video, you'll be very comfortable and confident in using this tense. Okay, so let's get started. In this video, I'll be discussing what is past perfect continuous tense, when to use it, when not to use it, what is the structure of the sentences, positive sentences, negative sentences, questions, and the questions with WH words. And as is the practice, at the end of the video, you will take a test. And you know where the answers will be? Yes, I'll be providing the answer key in the description section. So, are you ready to learn past perfect continuous tense? Yes. So, let's start. Let's first see what is past perfect continuous tense. This tense refers to an action that has started in the past and continued for a duration of time in the past. Remember, we are talking about the past tense. So, everything will happen in the past. Right? Let's see some examples. He had been practicing yoga before he started to swim. They had been living in Mexico for the past 12 years. These two sentences show an action that had started in the past and continued in the past for a duration of time. Isn't it? So, now the structure is subject plus had plus been plus verb in the ing form. Right? As you know, subject can be proper noun or it can be pronoun. The auxiliary verb we use in this tense is had. And verb is in the ing form. So that's a structure. So how do we use it? I had been, you had been, we had been, they had been, he had been, she had been, it had been, Rajit had been. So that's how we use the past perfect continuous tense. Now let's see when to use past perfect continuous tense. First, it is used to describe a past activity that had been happening in the past. Example, it had been raining all week. Had been raining is our past perfect continuous tense. Second situation, this is used to describe an activity that had been happening before another activity started. Did you understand? One activity had been happening, another activity started. Right? So, even in that situation, we use past perfect continuous tense. Look at the example. I had been listening to the songs before my aunt came. So, which activity had been happening? I had been listening to songs. What is the second activity that started? My aunt came. Right. So, in this situation also, we use past perfect continuous tense. Third situation, it is used to describe an activity that had been happening and we want to say the duration of the time. We want to say how long this had been happening. So in that case too, we use past perfect continuous tense. Let's look at the example. I had been working on this project for the past 1 week. What is the duration here? For the past 1 week. And what is the past perfect continuous tense here? I had been working. And we are showing the duration of time, and so we are using past perfect continuous tense. Look at another example. She had been working on the project since Saturday. Okay, here too we are showing the duration of time, and how are we presenting it? Since Saturday. And what is the past perfect continuous tense here? She had been working. Right. So remember, when you want to show the duration of time, we use the words since and for. These are the two key words. And I hope you remember when to use since and when to use for. We use for to show the period of time. And we use since to show point of time. Period of time, for. Point of time, since. For the past 1 week is the period of time. And since Saturday, it's point of time. So we use for or since accordingly. Hope you got it. So you have seen when to use past perfect continuous tense. Now you should also know when not to use past perfect continuous tense. As we have learned, there are two types of verbs. Dynamic verbs and, tell me? Yes, stative verbs, right? So you cannot use past perfect continuous tense in which type of words? Tell me. Yes, when we are using stative verbs, we cannot use past perfect continuous tense because the stative verbs do not have ing form. I'm sure you remember we had done it in the earlier video too. We have learned that we don't use ing form along with the stative verbs. We cannot say understanding, we cannot say knowing, we cannot say having, we cannot say hating, because all of these verbs are stative verbs. Since these verbs do not have ing form, so it is understood that we cannot use past perfect continuous tense along with the stative verbs. Yeah, that's about when to use and when not to use past perfect continuous tense. Now let's see the structure of the sentences. Let's begin with the positive sentences. And what's the structure? Subject plus auxiliary verb plus been plus ing form of verb. Right? And you know it very well that subject can be proper noun or pronoun. And auxiliary verb used in this tense is had. And which form of the verb we'll be using? ing form. So let's see some examples, and it's better you repeat after me so that you get used to pronouncing it. So let's begin. I had been teaching, you had been teaching, we had been teaching, they had been teaching, he had been teaching, she had been teaching, it had been teaching, and Rajit had been teaching. Okay? All these are positive sentences. Now let's see how to make negative sentences. Even that's very easy. There is not much difference, only the thing is we are adding not. Let's see the structure. Subject plus auxiliary verb plus not plus ing form of the verb. So some practice sentences for negatives. I had not been teaching. Let's use the short forms too. Let's use the contracted form too. I had not been teaching, I hadn't been teaching. You had not been teaching, you hadn't been teaching. We had not been teaching, we hadn't been teaching. They had not been teaching, they hadn't been teaching. He had not been teaching, he hadn't been teaching. She had not been teaching, She hadn't been teaching. It had not been teaching. It hadn't been teaching. Rajat had not been teaching. Rajat hadn't been teaching. Okay? Isn't it easy? Yes, it's very easy. Now let's see how to make questions. Structure would be, first auxiliary verb will come, next subject plus been plus verb plus ing. Right? So let's see how to make it. Had I been teaching? And what would be the answer? Yes, I had. No, I hadn't. Had you been teaching? Yes, you had. No, you hadn't. Had they been teaching? Yes, they had. No, they hadn't. Had we been teaching? Yes, we had. No, we hadn't. Similarly, along with he, she and it, let's see. Had he been teaching? Yes, he had been. Or no, he hadn't. Had she been teaching? Yes, she had. No, she hadn't. Had Rajat been teaching? Yes, Rajat had. No, Rajat hadn't. Okay? You can also make questions using WH words. Do you know what are these WH words? Yes, you are right. The WH words are why, where, when, how, what, who and whom. We can use them to make WH questions. So let's see how to make them. The structure remains the same, but we only add WH word in front of the auxiliary verb. Okay, let's see. Where had you been working? Where had you been working? When had he been working? How had she been working? So on and so forth. Let's take a basic sentence and then form positive, negative questions and WH questions. She had been fighting for justice. She hadn't been fighting for justice. Had she been fighting for justice? When had she been fighting for justice? So all these sentences are past perfect continuous tense. Isn't it? Right. Now just for practice, let's take a verb in its basic form and make the different tenses like present tense as well as past tense. Let's take the verb drive and then change it. He drives. Which tense is this? Simple present. He is driving. Present continuous tense. He has driven. Present perfect tense. He has been driving. Present perfect continuous tense. He drove. Simple past. He was driving. Past continuous. He had driven. Past perfect. He had been driving. Past perfect continuous tense. So now you are thorough with present tense as well as past tense. You will be able to use these tenses with full confidence and ease. Right? Okay. So that's all for the past perfect continuous tense. As I told you, this is an advanced tense, and if you are watching this class, it means that you are an advanced learner of English. If this is the first video you are watching about tenses, then I strongly recommend that you watch my other videos on tenses too. I have dropped their links in the description section. Learn all of them, watch the videos, and I'm sure after watching all those videos, you will be an advanced speaker of English. Now, what's the time for? It's the time for the test. So take the test, and after attempting the test paper, check your answers from the description section. Are you ready? Okay. First sentence. Why was he so tired? Because he dash before we met. In brackets, the verb which you have to use is jog. Your test was absolutely correct. Really? I dash for it so long. Revise is the verb. Third one. Did you see Ritu? She was so angry. No wonder she dashed with her brother all day. Bill was exhausted. Yes, he really was. He dashed too long. Work. Your parents went to bed very late. They dashed all afternoon. Have a rest. Why were all the players so dirty at the end of the match? Because they dashed in mud. Did you get in touch with Richard in time? Not really, but I dashed to contact him all the time. Was Grace your classmate? No, she wasn't, but she dashed class B for a year before she left. Why were Matt and Sue so pale when they returned? Because they dashed in their room all their holiday. What time did Doris get up? She dashed till 10 o'clock. Sleep. That's it. You will find this test easy after watching this video. Thanks for sticking throughout the video. We'll meet you in the next video, in which I'll be discussing simple future tense. Till then, goodbye. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like too. If you find this video useful, then please share with your friends, because when you share, you grow. See you soon. Bye. Stay blessed. Stay happy.